This beautiful Christmas morning, I wanted to talk about this subject. It's what came to mind. And a lot of people struggle with it, so why not talk about it? And this beautiful sunrise. Is mental illness curable? Well, let me share a little bit about my story. First off, I want to say that I have a grandfather that died before I was even born of shock treatments because he fell into a deep depression. There were things happening with his cows on the farm. He was losing the farm. Back then, that was a pretty big deal. And he was an alcoholic. Pretty deadly combination, being susceptible to depression and then becoming an alcoholic. So I do want to include in this conversation susceptibility. Can you be susceptible to various mental illnesses? And I would say absolutely yes, there are susceptibilities. In fact, we probably all come in on an even playing field in some ways, because what is a pain or a struggle for one person is not, but is for another. So anyway, so it is in my lineage. There's a lot of depression and anxiety in my lineage. Well, in my 20s, I started having severe panic attacks. And they became worse. And of course, I went to a psychiatrist because that's what you do. I went to a psychiatrist first, and he put me on medication. So that's the first thing that was done. Let's drug you. I will rally back to my opinion on that being the first modus operandi and how much I strongly disagree with it. I was put on a medication, and of course it had side effects, and I struggled with the side effects, but I was told by an expert that this will help me with my anxiety. I didn't know at the time. I was, I guess, too young. I hadn't been exposed to the tools that I have in my life now and that I use with my clients, that it is possible to be drug-free. I didn't know. I had no empowered message. Okay? And that's an important part of this story too, having an empowered message to hear and to place into your mind. Sadly, society doesn't want anyone to feel bad because they have a mental illness. I don't either. That is not the route to take. Making someone feel bad because they have a mental illness? No. What we can do together is we can discover the root of why you're thinking wrong. Okay? Mentally ill means wrong thought, ill thoughts in the mind, ill thoughts in the brain. I would go further to say wrong thoughts, untrue thoughts, lies in the brain. So if you have lies in the brain, that's in contradiction to your soul, to your heart, to the truth and the wisdom that is there. So if you go with your mind over your heart, that's going to cause you pain and suffering. And you could term yourself mentally ill for sure. And I have loads of compassion for all of us and any of us who have ill thoughts in our mind, untrue thoughts. And so my journey includes, basically in a nutshell, retraining the brain. But back to the psychiatrist giving me drugs and not knowing I had any other options. And believing, so instead, the wrong thoughts I kept in my mind is, I can't help it. This is how I am. It's in my heritage too. So I guess this is my lot in life. That's what I believed. So I believed that until I didn't. Now that is a journey, because when you put trauma into the scenario as part of the equation, and especially trauma that happens under the age of 7, it is very difficult to change that template. But it absolutely can be done. It absolutely can. With a lot of support, it can be done, and fairly quickly. So yes, it may be hard in the beginning to even conceive of thinking differently. Can you even conceive of thinking differently? And I ask you to think of differently. Borrow somebody else's beliefs. Borrow mine. That you can think differently. And the way you start thinking differently is probably getting a coach, but also you can start journaling and speaking forth aloud affirmations that speak the truth of who you are. And that's what it boils down to, speaking the truth of who you are. But I struggled on and off medications because your system really doesn't want to be on anything. It really wants to operate al naturel. And the side effects are always so difficult that I was on and off medications up until I was 40 years old. 40! And while I was on those medications, I obviously developed a dependency on some of them, Xanax being one of them, and struggled with the side effects. But I also had incremental efforts in retraining my brain. I pretty much did it on my own. I had a sporadic counselor that I saw. I really needed much more than that. Again, my counselor didn't really tell me point blank, this can be overcome. So I just kind of moved along dealing with childhood stuff, the trauma stuff, the repercussions of my really bad choices. That's basically what counseling was, until I was introduced to spirituality and even my own faith in a new way, in an empowered way. And I was introduced to spirituality that taught me you're not your body, you're not your mind, you're not your thoughts or your feelings. And that's pretty shocking, and it takes the right teacher to really help you embrace that you can distance yourself, you can observe your thoughts and feelings, but not identify with them. So if you're out there right now and you're thinking it's a bunch of cocky cock, or whatever, I don't know what word I want to use. Poppycock, yes. If you think what I'm saying is a bunch of poppycock, I can just tell you I've been drug-free for 13 years. And I wake up happy. I was in a drunken depression, anxiety stupor for years and years. I felt trapped by my thoughts. I felt like there was no way out for so many years. And I clung to the fact that I knew people who had overcome, spiritual leaders and teachers. I clung to their belief, and I worked it to the point where now I'm like a teacher type of coach. I've created workbook guides and my coaching style to walk you through the process so you can start feeling better about yourself much faster. most of my clients feel really awesome within a few weeks, but within 3 months, completely changed. It's possible. You can go from a mentally ill brain to a healthy brain that thinks correct thoughts, that thinks the truth. Yeah, it's not natural at first, but then it becomes natural, it becomes habit. All habits take time and some effort. But back to the journey of mine on and off medications, and getting off certain medications was hell. And I'm not saying that lightly. I have a video called The Hell of Psych Meds. It's rough. It's the hardest pain of my life. But my brain, our beautiful brains, can be rewired. So Effexor, I think that's a lot like Cymbalta, and Xanax were really rough, really hard to get off of. So I did it. You can do it too. You absolutely can. So mental illness is all it is ill thoughts, untrue thoughts. And when we move you into your heart, so you can live a heart-based life rather than a mind-based life, and we can reframe your mindsets and your judgments, that's where your freedom is. Right there. The freedom is in your heart. And you have access to it. And I absolutely believe in you. I believe you can do it. So I wanted to share good news on this day, because so many people are struggling with mental illness. And as someone who struggled for so many years, and I want to add to my struggle, I had suicidal ideation. Meaning I thought about suicide every day of my life through age 40. Probably more so the adult years, I'd say from teen. I think it started in my teens. So from my teens through to age 40, I didn't want to be here. And that's consumed my mind. Talk about mental illness. Now I just cherish every day to love and serve humanity, creation, the creator. I'm thrilled to get up every day and be here doing this video. I'm so thrilled to share my story, my knowledge, my gifts of teaching. That's how transformational it can be. And I hope this inspires you to take a hard look in the mirror, and then take a beautiful look in the mirror and say to yourself, I am beautiful. I am loved. I am lovable. I am love. I am here right now. I love myself. I love others. I believe in me. If you just start doing that for 30 days, that alone, it's a completely different message you're telling your brain. And inside that mind is an ego and or a wounded inner child that needs to hear, needs someone they can count on. So you have a painful younger self inside that doesn't trust. So basically the journey looks like earning the trust of your younger self, your inner child. That's what we do. Okay, that's it for today. I love you. I care for you. I believe in you. Have a beautiful day.